You walked into a room and forgot why. You had the thought, and then it was just gone, like it never existed. And you stood there feeling stupid, wondering what is wrong with you. Here's what's actually wrong. Nothing. But something is happening inside your brain that nobody ever explained to you. And by the end of this video, you're going to see yourself completely differently. You've probably apologized for your memory more times than you can count, which is kind of ironic. You forget names 30 seconds after hearing them. You lose your keys while holding them. Someone tells you something important, and the next day, it's just air, gone. And the worst part isn't the forgetting. It's the story you tell yourself afterward. That you're careless, that you don't pay attention, that something is just fundamentally off about you. You've tried writing things down. You've set reminders. You've repeated names out loud, like people suggested, and it still happens. So you quietly started believing you might just be broken, a little bit, in this one specific way. But here's what you never considered. What if your brain isn't weak? What if it's just full? Your brain is not a simple recorder. It's more like an air traffic controller managing hundreds of flights at once. Most people are running maybe 10 or 15 mental tabs. Their thoughts stay surface level, simple in, simple out. But your brain doesn't work like that. You're processing the conversation in front of you and the memory it reminded you of and what that memory means and how you feel about it and what you should have said 3 years ago in a similar situation. All at once, simultaneously, without choosing to. Psychologists call this deep associative thinking. Your brain connects everything to everything else. Every new piece of information gets pulled into a web of meaning, emotion, memory, and pattern. That takes enormous mental energy. And when your working memory is busy managing that entire network, it simply doesn't have space left over to hold where you put your keys. It's not a deficit. It's a cost. The cost of a brain that never actually stops thinking. Here's what this actually looks like in real life. You're introduced to someone at a party. They say their name. And in that exact moment, your brain is already analyzing their tone, their body language, the feeling in the room, whether they seem nervous, what that nervousness reminds you of. By the time all of that processes, the name is already gone. You absorbed everything except the one thing you were supposed to remember. That's not rudeness. That's depth. You leave the house and immediately wonder if you locked the door. You did. But because locking the door is so automatic, your conscious mind wasn't paying attention. It was somewhere else entirely 3 conversations ahead, replaying something from yesterday, planning something for next week. Your brain was just too busy to file the memory. That's not carelessness. That's a mind that never idles. You sit down to do one task and somehow end up down a completely unrelated rabbit hole an hour later. Because your brain followed a thread. One idea connected to another, and then another, and suddenly you're reading about the history of something you didn't even know you cared about. That's not distraction. That's a brain built for exploration. Here is the part they never told you. The same brain that forgets your grocery list is the same brain that notices things others miss entirely. That makes connections nobody else sees. That feels things on a frequency most people don't even know exists. Research on highly creative and intellectually complex thinkers shows a consistent pattern. They have what scientists call a leaky sensory gate, meaning more information gets in, more gets processed, more gets felt. The filter that most brains use to block out irrelevant input is thinner in minds like yours. That's why you're so easily overwhelmed. And that's also why you understand people so deeply. Why you can sense the mood of a room the moment you walk in. Why you can hold complexity that other people find exhausting. Your memory isn't broken. It's selective in the way that only an overloaded, deeply active brain can be. You forget the small things because your brain is too busy doing something much larger. That is not a flaw. That is a feature. A rare, extraordinary, deeply human one. So the next time you forget something and feel that familiar sting of embarrassment, pause for just a second. Your brain remembered 100 other things in that same moment. It processed feelings, patterns, meanings, and connections that most people walk right past. You're not forgetful. You're full. There's a difference, and it's a beautiful one. If this felt like you, subscribe, because your brain deserves to understand itself.